Just by solving part A thoroughly, you will be able to score 20 marks completely. Is a set of actions performed on a system to determine whether it satisfies the software functions altogether. The benefits of testing includes preventing bugs, reducing development cost, and improving performance. Good morning and welcome to the Software Testing B.C.A. 5th semester model question paper solving session, where we are going to solve the part A today. This is the first session. Then the second session we will be solving the part B. So in the first session we will be looking into the 2 marks question that are probably going to come for your examination. So starting with the first question that's going to come in here, in the part A we have 10 questions to be answered out of the 12 questions that are going to be given. So 2 into 10 is equal to 20 marks. So you can see that by doing one part, just by solving part A thoroughly, you will be able to score 20 marks completely. Now starting with the first question, define software testing. What is the answer to it? Software testing is the process of evaluating and verifying that a software product or application does what it is supposed to do, which means to say that using testing as a methodology, you are going to verify whether that software product or the application is going to function as it is supposed to be doing. Now, for example, in software testing, normally what it happens is that the company might have given a different product specification or an app specification. When you install it in your system or in your mobile or in your laptop, the function specifications might change. So that is the reason what we do in testing is that we first evaluate the software, we evaluate that product at least 10 times or 100 times to see that it's exactly matching to the details that it has been given. So that's why we evaluate and verify that particular software product or application so that it exactly functions how it has been told. The benefits of testing includes preventing bugs, reducing development cost, and improving performance. Definitely by testing, what you would be able to achieve, you will be able to see that we can reduce the number of mistakes, the bugs, that is basically the programming errors, followed by the development cost, because every time if you have to launch a new version of the same app or the product, there is going to be a cost factor involved in that. And at the same time, by testing a particular product or application again and again, you will improve on the performance of that particular app or product. So that's why software testing is a mandatory thing that can enhance your product's performance. Followed by the next question, define test and test cases. Now look into the question itself. They've asked you about test and test cases. So the answer is a test case is a set of actions performed on a system to determine whether it satisfies the software functions altogether. Now a test itself, the word test that tells you is it's all about a evaluation. A test case is a collection of all procedures put together which will be evaluated against the software requirement so that it is able to perform as it is needed for the customer. Now, for example, let's say that a customer is going to download or install a new banking software application. So what happens here is that the customer will expect that as he puts in login password, immediately the following scheme should come where he would be able to check his savings, withdrawals and other factors altogether. But then what happens here is that the standard guidelines and the systems tell us at some point of time it is not functioning according to it. So what we do is that we write a test case, we find out the various scenarios under which there can be an error, there can be a systematic problems and everything, and we run it and see so that everything is working accordingly. So that's where we bring in this entire functionality altogether. Followed by what is a logical fault. Now imagine the word itself given here, logical fault, which means to say that they might be structural or functional. When they are structural or related to structural models, they modify the interconnection between components, which means to say that between the components, if there is some problem, there is some kind of error relationship, then they automatically try to modify. Whereas functionals are related to functional models, they modify the functional components. When I say if there is some problem in some function that is being called for in the app, automatically there needs to be a modification like a call function, a put function, wherever we are going into it. So we need to modify it accordingly. So that's why we bring in this functional component factor here. Followed by what is a decomposition based testing. Now this is very, very important for all of us. Why? Because decomposition, this is a kind of technique which we are using, that a portion of system model is of interest is given to testing requirement into 3 subsystems by exploiting information on the variable dependency. So a part of the application is being given for test based on the interest. That will be again broken down into systems, tested, verified accordingly based on the model variable. What are all the variables that's going to see that dependency function is going to be seen, and then you will be able to see that whether the app is functioning as per the requirement. Followed by what is neighborhood integration. Now the word itself is very simple here, neighborhood integration, which means you're going to combine system, a form of integration. Please start the answer in this manner, a form of integration testing where all the nodes that connect to a given node for the basis of integration testing, a form of integration testing, which means combining things together. So that's why we call this as integration testing, where all the nodes that connect to the given node, to that particular system, to that particular thing, are on the basis of integration testing, so that they get integrated as a single module. You are able to test it and you are able to see the functionality. Moving further, define the path. Now for that the answer is method message path is defined as an interleaved sequence of methods execution linked by messages. Now it is presents that the interaction between methods of object-oriented software, and hence fits for object-oriented integration testing. Now we all know that in an object-oriented testing methodology, the most important thing is that the sequence of executions that are done by the messages, it presents well the interactions between the methods of the object-oriented software, and hence it fits very well for that object-oriented integration testing altogether. So now this is very, very important for us because it tries to understand the functionality, the system, the manner, how it goes in, and what are all the objectivity that keeps going inside. So whenever, for example, this is like interlink, I know where the method is, that call that particular method a message. It will automatically, a path is created where you send in the message, that execution is linked to that message. So you have to just follow the message is already conveyed. Using this method, execute this particular function. So that's where this path testing comes into picture. Followed by what is unit testing? A very, very simple question. Whenever I use the word unit testing, process of checking small pieces of code to deliver information early and often. Instead of testing the entire application together, instead of testing the entire product together, let's break that application or product into smaller units. Test each and every unit individually on a regular basis, so that we would be seeing that whether the functionality is working proper. Now, what is the advantage of doing this unit testing? Because you are doing it at a regular phase in a timed manner, you can reduce the time cycle, and at the same time, you can find out the error at the earlier stage, so you don't have to wait till the end to see that whether it's going to happen or not. So that's why this testing is very, very important for all of us. Define client-server testing. Now, this is a very important method. In a client-server application testing, the client sends a request to the server for a specific information, and server sends a response back to the client with the requested information. So, in a client-server application, what we do, the client will send a request to the server asking for a specific information, saying that this is what we want. So, a response is immediately sent back to the client with whatever request that has been asked for. So, this is very, very important for all of us to understand. Why? Because this has got a specific information. It's not going to give back everything. You ask for a specific request, you ask for a specific task or thing, it will come back with that information. The next one, mention the different levels of object-oriented testing. So you have the object-oriented testing is basically at the 3-level testing, namely unit, subsystem and system. We already know what is unit testing. Subsystem is at the middle level. System is the composite level put together. So unit testing, subsystem testing and the system testing. Followed by, now you would see that in this question, the object-oriented testing is a software testing process. How are we going to use it? In this system, you would see that we are going to use the functionalities of encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism also. So whenever we talk about what is object-oriented testing, we are also going to talk about the software testing process, how it has been done, like encapsulation. We are going to talk about inheritance, polymorphism, all those factors put together. Now, define inheritance, which comes into picture. Inheritance is an object-oriented project. It's a process where the object acquires the properties and behaviors of the parents. This means that the protected and public members of the parent class are reused from the derived class without having to define them. Again and again, you don't have to go and define it, tell how it is happening, why it is happening, when it is happening, because it's already there. You just have to inherit that function and keep testing. Followed by, write the significance for collaboration diagram, and in the object-oriented testing, the purpose you're going to just put in here about the collaboration diagram of how the various lifelines, that is very, very important here, various lifelines in the system connects. So the timing will be focused very clearly here, in which a message is sent from one object to the another object. So that's what is very, very important for here. Why? Because in this testing, we would see that how the timing lapses. If there's too much of time taking from one system to other system, then the application will not work according to the factors, according to the customer need. There will be a delay in terms of moving from one screen to another screen in terms of taking up the object. So this is why this comes into picture. Followed by, write the significance of collaboration diagram, which we have been doing the same thing. This is also there where we would see that this is a mandatory factor. This is being told in terms of understanding the relationship aspect of how things have been done in terms of the object-oriented testing. Now, why I'm repeating this question again to you is that many times this has been asked in different formats, where they ask you in terms of a collaboration diagram, or they might ask you exactly in a very simple way why this is needed. But anyway, when it comes to a 2 marks, please understand that it is being sent from one object to another. That's the most important thing, and it is closely related in terms of this aspect of testing. With this, we come to the end of today's session. I hope and believe that all the questions and answers that have been discussed here from the part A of the software testing model paper would be of a great benefit and help to you in terms of understanding and writing well in the examination. In the upcoming session, we are going to discuss about part B, which will include the long type answers. Until then, thank you for joining me on this session. I wish you all the best for the upcoming examination.